Johnny Fisher is ready to take the next step in the heavyweight division as he steps up and goes after Alan the Savage Babic in his quest to become a world contending fighter in the heavyweight division. This fight will take place Saturday, July 6th. Let's talk about this matchup. The heavyweight battle, scheduled to take place July 6th between Johnny Fisher and Alan Babic, is going to be a throwback of sorts to something that was a lot more crude that you might see in the 50s, you know, between the heavyweights. Guys who didn't have a lot of athleticism, but had a lot of determination and strength, and sometimes the will of a fighter that could prevail over another is what it took before the athletic talents and cultivation of abilities began to become more in demand as far as being able to thrive in the sport and the heavyweight division in particular. So when these two gentlemen face off, it's going to be something, if you've watched the sport from the past, of a familiarity. It's going to take place at Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park in the UK. Johnny Fisher brings his record of 11-0 with 10 KOs to the battle, as Alan Babic brings his record of 12-1 with 11 KOs to the battle. The two men, Babic being the elder statesman of sorts at the age of 33, and Fisher, who has not yet entered a prime, is 25 years of age. The height disparity is great. Fisher is 6'4", Babic is 6'1". Fisher has a longer reach than Babic, of course. However, their styles are offsetting. Fisher likes to step around his opponents. He doesn't have smooth footwork, but he does understand that angles are imperative to create and be successful when executing your offense. Babic is more of the slugger mode, who's going to forge straight ahead and dive right into his opponents. Sometimes head down, sometimes chin up. But he's a strong man and he has strong conviction. Most of the fights that he's won have been battles of attrition. But if you recall recently, as far as April of 2023 against Lucas Rozanski, Babic was stopped in one round. His only loss, but a glaring loss all the same, because Lucas came at him and was ready to fire at the openings that Babic often presents to himself. If Fisher, who is starting to come around with his ability, relies upon his poleaxe jab, he can keep Babic at a distance and keep him winging shots in which eventually the opening will be there for him to drop the big right hand or even an uppercut or hook, catching Babic in between his shots. What hasn't really been tested yet is the absorb incoming for Fisher. And that's because his quality of opposition hasn't been quite at his level. He's always been the fighter going in on paper, where you could see that this was another night of a showcase for him. Babic, until the Lucas-Rosansky fight, was actually swimming in the same seas. He's been able to overwhelm guys with a whirlwind of activity, being brazen, putting his chin or putting his head in the opponent's chest and firing away. Not like Joe Frazier, but in a sense of a guy who understands that in order for him to be most effective, he has to be inside, operating from mid-range to close quarters. Against Fisher, he would do well to try to do this behind a well-timed jab. He can't just barrel in, otherwise he's just going to run into a shot like he did against Rosansky. This could make for entertainment, as both fighters, their records are close, meaning that they've had pretty much the similar amount of fights, even though one man is an elder statesman. And Babic, by the way, as I've been listening to him, sounds like he has taken a lot of shots. He's slurring his words a little bit, and that just tells me that he'd rather be tough than good. And in those instances in boxing, tough guys get hurt, good guys go on to the next level of opportunities. So as we close in on this fight, understand that the savage Babic is going to have to take care of himself if he's going to be successful. And he's going to have to put Johnny Fisher in a trick bag of understanding what it means for self-preservation. And sometimes when you put that type of output out there, it requires you to use technical ability, something that we haven't seen from Babic. And so Fisher is going to enter this fight with several advantages. And I do believe the way his coaches and trainers have worked with him, that he will try to execute accordingly, because this is his opportunity. If he's able to put Babic on his record, the Rumford Bull, as he's known, is going to be able to have a huge platform to launch himself going forward into the rest of 2024 and looking ahead to other fighters in 2025. So I think at the end of the day, we're going to see punches exchanged, punches landed, and an abrupt ending. Or we could see something that is going to be what we can call a stinker, because if either guy gets hit with something that makes him leery of the other, then it could become a hold, maul, and clutch fest that no one really likes. But I'm hoping it doesn't resort to that. But what do you think? This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, the third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Let me know your thoughts about Babic and the Rumford Bull. Peace to everyone, and everyone please remain safe.